All right, everybody. So we have our bomb. We've added some features on. Many of you have added in a trigger, kind of like what you see here. Triggers this bomb, and it makes us go flying backwards with some nice little visual effects there, that little explosion. Well, it's not quite what I would want, so I'd like to add a little more character onto this bomb and how it affects our player. Like, I want it to kind of throw them up in the air a little bit, you know? So something we're going to do is go into our explosive, our bomb, and yours is probably looking similar to this right now. It's running off an event dispatcher. It runs through its whole little setup here where it's flashing, the fuse is burning, it's flashing red back and forth between this red material and the HND material or something similar on your side. And what I would like to do is make this thing throw our character up in the air. So I'm going to drag this off here a little bit. I need to make some space. So I'll show you a few different tricks that we can use here. One of them is disabling the input from your player so that whenever they do explode, they can't use any of their air control to be able to push themselves back to where they want to be. That might be kind of mean, but I think a lot of you can see some use for that inside of a game. So first thing we're going to need to do is we want to cast to our player again, but you might be thinking like, well, we're not colliding with them. Okay, that's okay. That's fine. What we can do is cast to side character like we usually do. Okay, but the object, we don't have a pin here. So what this cast needs to do is it just needs to look for the player pawn. So we can get player pawn. I gotta spell it right. There we go. And that's going to be our player index 0. If we have more players on screen, we want to be able to update this, but since we only have one character, that works for us. So we can use this to cast for our character. Now, one thing about this is if you have this happening in other parts of the level, like this is casting to your character, it can cause things to happen to your character that maybe you don't want to have happen. So, excuse me, be a little bit careful with that. And that's going to be my one little lesson on that. So if you have multiple bombs going off in multiple places and they're not really near this character, it could, whatever we do with this right now, could cause it to take on those characteristics. So just something to think about. All right, so we've got that information now. We have our side-scrolling characters information. And now what we want to do is we're going to disable their input a little bit here. So I'm just going to pull this back, give us some more space. So I'm going to pull from here and I'm going to disable input. Okay. And just hook this up on our execution pin right here and our player controller. So we can also get this by just, looking for it, get player controller. Player, actually, let me check something here. Yeah, we got our target. That's fine. Get player controller. Let me go ahead and, oh, I spelled get wrong. That's why it's acting all crazy. There we go. Okay. And actually, this is not quite the one I'm looking for. I don't want one that gets player state. There are a number of different things you can get there, so you got to be kind of careful looking for this one. Let me see if that helps us out a lot. Okay, yeah, I think that's going to get us what we want there. Okay, yeah, we want to get that one that says player index 0, just like we have for our pawn. Okay, from there, we're going to drag off, and we're going to, off the execution pin there, and we're going to probably, there's one more thing I would probably want to do with this, but I'll show you that just here in a second. So I'm going to tie this back to our spawn emitter, pull this back over, as well as fire impulse. Let's see here, because I want to re-enable the controls after the impulse is fired. So I'm going to need to, this has disable. You would think like, maybe I could use disable in a different way, but there's actually another node that enables input again. So that is, believe it or not, just called enable input. There we go. And we're still going to need this information here, but we don't have to get another one. We can just use that, and then we can also pull off of this reference that we got here, and that'll enable input again. Now, this all happens very quickly, so we're going to probably need to add in another delay here for this. Also, the visibility, this is on our sphere. It needs to go away. So I think I'm going to have to swap this around, actually. So what I'm going to do, just hold down Alt, get rid of both those links. I'm going to set it up here. So visibility is going to happen right there. And I want to delay enabling the input again. So I'm going to pull off of this one and do delay. And I'm going to have it delay it for about a second. Let's see how that goes. Okay, so what this means is that when this thing goes off, my character is not going to be able to use any kind of controls for about a second. Okay, so if I get launched into the air, I'm not really going to be able to control which way I go depending on which side I'm on. Okay, we're here. And you don't really get the effect with that. So I think we're going to have to also launch the character into the air. So to do that, we don't have to actually launch him. There is actually a launch in here, but unfortunately when you use launch with an impulse, the launch seems to take precedence. So if you want to try it out, you can actually go in here and find launch character, or actually just launch, and there we go. So we can find launch character. It will allow you to launch it. It's specific about which way you want to launch it. So using just an impulse is a lot easier most of the time. Let's see, we've disabled the input. Okay, I want to go ahead and take all this, and I'm going to push this back so we have a little more space. So we disabled the input right here, and next thing we're going to do, we're going to drag off of our character again, and we're going to get character movement. And we don't have to do anything real crazy with this. We're just going to change the gravity. So we're going to change gravity scale. Let's see, set gravity scale for character movement. Yep, there we go. And if you take a quick look at your character, go under character movement, and we look for gravity scale. It's currently 1.75. So let's go back to our explosive here, our bomb, and I'm going to set this for negative 3. I'm going to set it for negative 3. That's really going to make this thing go flying now. And then we're, of course, going to need to kind of change it back on the other side. So I'm going to go ahead and connect this up. Now, what I think I want to do now is before I enable the input, I'm going to keep that delay right there, but I may change it. And I'm also going to get another delay. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to enable gravity, and after a little bit, I'm going to re-enable the controls. So there's going to be a time when the gravity is acting on them again, and then I'll re-enable the controls. So let's go back over here, and we're going to get set gravity like we have here. I'm just going to drag it along. Whoop. Grab the whole thing. There we go. And we'll connect this up. We're going to change it back to 1.75. I believe that's what it is for the side scroller. It might be a little bit different for other templates, but that's what they have it set for the side scroller. And I'm also going to need a reference right here for my target, which is my character movement. So I'm just going to grab it from here, hook that up. So it's going to take about 0.2 seconds, and then the gravity is going to kick back on. And then I'll say maybe 0.8 seconds till you can start controlling your character again. So let's see how this goes. So effectively, it's going to change the gravity. So we're going up, and then it's going to very quickly turn it back on, but that should give us a chance to kind of get launched into the air. So let's see how this goes. Okay, I'm going to stand right here like I don't know what's going on. Okay, it does kind of throw me up in the air. It's not too bad. In fact, I can probably, now that I lose gravity pretty quickly, like I'm changing my gravity, probably go into my radial force, and I can change some of these settings now. They don't have to be so powerful. So I'll change impulse strength to 1500. And if you want to just get thrown completely off, I mean, yeah, keep it at 2000. But if you just kind of want to knock them back a little bit, see, I can't even keep myself from going off the edge with that. So I'm going to go ahead and hit escape. Let's try it one more time. And as soon as I feel like it's about to run off, I'm going to start pushing towards it. Yeah, it just throws me still right off, since I don't have control of my character until after I'm pretty much pushed off the cliff, and I am I'm trying to get to it the whole time. Let's see, get it on the other side. Let's see how it goes. Okay, so yeah, it does carry you up into the air when you have changed the gravity for a short period of time, and you can kind of play with the impulse strength and the force on your explosive at that point. So hopefully this helps you out a little bit, give your bomb a little bit more character, also help you understand how to add some different kind of game mechanics to your game overall. Next thing we're going to be jumping into should be using the bomb to destroy things, like we're actually going to make things crumble. We have to designate that, but we'll do it in another tutorial. So hopefully that helps you out, and we'll see you next time.